All right, as a professional shooter, gimbals are just an essential part of my camera ecosystem. Now, because most of my cameras are cinema cameras or bigger camera system rigs, I traditionally have had bigger gimbals to handle those kind of loads. But more and more, I'm finding myself in the need for a smartphone type gimbal. Oh, hey, and do me one favor, if you find this video useful in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It is so hard keeping a YouTube channel going this day, and your subscriptions are the only thing that keeps this channel going. So it was really fortuitous when Zhiyun reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in taking a look at their smartphone gimbal, the Zhiyun Smooth 5S AI. And perfect timing, because I was already looking for something like this. Now, full disclosure, Zhiyun did send me a sample for review. They do not pay for this. They don't get to review anything I say beforehand. They just wanted to get my honest thoughts and opinions on using this and give them any recommendations for how I thought it could be improved or what I really liked about it. Now, the Zhiyun 5S AI is a gimbal that is specifically designed for smartphones. And even though it's designed for smartphones, I was actually really surprised that it packs what I would consider some really cool professional tricks up its sleeve, including the use of this built-in AI system. Now, the first question I would ask about this is, why would I, as a professional commercial shooter, be interested in a smartphone gimbal in any way, shape, or form anyway? And the answer really lies in the fact that in today's commercial world, it has just continued to evolve, and clients just need more and more flexibility than ever to kind of maximize all the platforms that are out there. So that means that I'll often find myself shooting with a Red and then have to go and get additional shots on an iPhone. Now, the Smooth 5S AI is a 3-axis gimbal, and the setup is really easy. I'm just gonna kind of show you a real basic way here of how to set it up. Now, if you look here, it's got a system, and it comes, basically, it breaks down super simple. I mean, this is what you get. You have a base, and you have the gimbal itself. You can screw the base here into the gimbal, and then it forms kind of a nice support pad that you need. And you wanna make sure when you're setting this up, if you don't have any experience doing gimbal work, you wanna make sure that this motor here is on the back facing you toward your body. Now, the gimbal actually comes at locks. You just have to kind of unlock it and click it. These things will click and unclick with just a little push. It's super easy. And then what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that your camera on your phone is going to be facing away from your body. So if I have my smartphone right here, you can see I have my camera right here. And what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that the camera's there, and I wanna put this edge of my body, basically where I charge it, up as far as I can here to the side of the buildings, to the body. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put that in there and put that in. Now, this thing's already pre-balanced, but what you wanna see is you don't want your gimbal getting all wonky like this. You wanna balance it. Now, this gimbal has 2 axes that you can balance it on. So the first one is going to be this kind of horizontal one. So what I wanna do is I'm just gonna loosen this knob here at the back. And when I loosen it, you'll see I can slide this arm backward and forward. And what I wanna do is I'm just gonna take that and just slide it until I feel this thing is balanced on a horizontal axis. And you'll see it's balanced there pretty much. I don't want it to tilt. I just wanna balance it, so I'm gonna balance it so everything stays pretty horizontal. The more balance you get, the less work you're gonna be working on your motors. Just make sure your life a leader. There, it's pretty balanced, and then when it's done, I'm just gonna lock this in and lock it. Now, to get the vertical axis, what I wanna do is I wanna tip my phone up, and as you'll see, it sort of like falls over like that. I don't want that. So what you can do, you can just like hold on to this, and you can push it up and down to get it so it stays horizontal. And you just, doesn't take much. And as you can see, now this stays horizontal with no issues, and now I've got a balanced gimbal. Once I got that, I can switch that down, and if you'll see, there is a power button right here on the side. I'm just gonna hold that power button, and when I hold it down, the gimbal will now power up. You'll see, boom, it is good to go. Now, the Smooth 5S AI has some really nice features built right here into the body. The first is that, this is just a really nice little solid constructor. It's simple. It's got an intuitive button layout on the back with a zoom and AF wheel built right in the body itself, and it has a joystick on the back for basic tilt and pan control. Now, the buttons and modes on the body do allow you a good basic level of control. Now, if you look here, it has a mode button, and that'll allow you to click through some different modes. You'll see the buttons here changing, and it does different functions. And I'll tell you what each of those buttons do. Now, when you cut it on, it does default to the PF mode, which is the pan follow mode. I consider this probably the most practically useful one for a lot of the commercial work we're gonna do. And when you have a pan follow mode, what it does it basically follows you on a pan. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't tilt up and down and it doesn't roll. It gives you much, much more control and a lot of things. And I think most of us, when we're shooting, a lot of times we want the camera to pan with us, but we don't want tilt and pan. So that's pretty much what we want to do. Now, if I hit the mode button once, I can switch over to the L mode, and L stands for lock mode. This means that whatever I do with my body, the camera will stay locked in position. So if you see here, no matter what I do, you can see the camera is staying in that position and it doesn't move. So I can move over here and the camera is going to stay locked on. Now the next mode is going to be an F mode, and this stands for follow mode. Now follow means the camera will do follow me wherever I want, and this means pan and tilt. So you can see now I can tilt down, I can tilt up, or I can follow left and right. And then we have, the next one is going to be the POV mode. Now POV mode is sort of the ultimate movement mode, because not only does it follow my up and down and left and right, it actually does my roll. So I can actually now start to get rolls into my system. So this is really more of a loopy type of system. And then the last mode that you're going to see here is going to be V, and that stands for vortex mode. Now when you're in vortex mode, the camera does go like this. You need to get your camera in a vertical position. And then when you do that, you can take your joystick here, and if I push my joystick to the left or right, you will see now the camera will rotate in a trippy 360 thing. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. You can kind of push in and push out. So those are the basic modes that you got. And they cover what I would consider the main things you're going to be needing for a gimbal. And the good thing is, no matter what you're doing, you can always sit there and you can use this joystick on the back to allow you a level of control. So for instance, if I'm here, I can pan left, I can pan right, and even if I'm in pan and follow mode, I can still do a tilt up and tilt down. It doesn't matter. That joystick kind of lets me do exactly what I want. The rest of the operation on this is pretty and simple and intuitive. Now the trigger button, if you click it twice, let's say I'm over here, it'll recenter the gimbal, which is what you always want to have. And if you click it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, you will see it comes now and gets me in a selfie mode that I can do. If I want to get out of that, I hit 1, 2, 3 again, and it'll go back to the front. Now on the back, there's also a record button here that if you're using one of the ZY apps, and it lets you go ahead and record right there, so you don't have to touch the smartphone. You can actually record right from the body itself. And in addition to that, there is an additional 1/4-inch attachment point that lets you put, if you want monitors or audio mics or anything like that, you can have a nice mounting point here on your gimbal. Now, all these things are what I would consider pretty basic expectations for a gimbal. So what I'm gonna start focusing on is some of the things about this Smooth 5 SAI that I think kind of started to separate it and surprised me, and I thought were pretty darn cool. And the first thing is I do want to talk about these mounts here. On the top of the camera, you will see this situation where it's got these little magnetic mounts, and it's both on the top and on the bottom. And what I can do is Zhiyun makes a couple of accessories that you can actually magnetically put them either on the top or on the bottom. And it's just that simple. I mean, it's as simple, you pop it on, you want to pop it off, you pop it off. No tools, no worries, no cables, and the magnets are nice and strong. I mean, don't really have to worry about this thing popping off unless you want to pop it off yourself. And the other great thing about this is not only does this mount super easy, but it's powered through the gimbal itself. These are actually power points that are there. That means when you put this on, you don't have to worry, did you forget to charge it last night? Is the battery in there okay? It powers through the gimbal batteries. You don't have to worry. Once you put it on, it's going to be powered. You don't have to second guess it. That is a super, super useful thing. Now, just remember, if you do put an accessory on there, this is a balance thing. So obviously you will change your balance. So remember, if you do put an accessory on there, you just need to rebalance this top here. And as I said, it was very, very easy. I'll just shift this over, bring that down. Let's see, get it back a little bit more. And now, once again, it's balanced, and now I can have that accessory. It's really that fast once you add an accessory to rebalance it. Now, as a long-time DJI user, there was one other thing about this that kind of did surprise me, and that is the fact that this gimbal comes with lights built into the gimbal itself. So if you look on the back here, there's a control dial that works really well with the app, but check this out. If I hit the button, there's a little light icon, I can hit it, and if I hold it down, boom, this light will come on. And then I can take that control dial, and check this out. I can dial up the brightness of a built-in light. It's always there, it's always that. And it's a really, really nice way to get a fill light on a thing. If I want to cut on the light, I just cut it off, I hold it down, and boom, it pops off. And if you want even more than that, Zhiyun, which has kind of a pro package of this, which has this really nice carrying case that gets everything in there, they actually have a situation where you can get more lights. So I have additional lights, and let's say I don't want to have this AI thing on there. Remember the magnets? I can pop that on there, and now check this out. If I hit the button again, both of them will pop on at the same time, and I can control both of them together. And if you really wanted a ton of light, you could put one on the top and one on the bottom and have 3 lights on the gimbal. And in addition to the light, that actually comes with these like little gel packs that they give you that all these different colors. So let's say I want to go for more of a CTO look. I want to make this more orange. Well, check this out. It's magnetic. I can click that right on there, and now I have some color control on that. Now, the light is cool. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off because I do want to talk about the AI component of this gimbal. I mean, this is the 5S AI, right? And if you'll notice, the AI component of this is the exact same size and form function as the light. And what that means is, once again, I can put that AI right here and snap it on the top. And the good thing about it, like I said, once you drop it on, it is good to go. No cables, no battery charging, it's just ready to run. And what's really nice is if you'll notice, this AI has a little sensor built into it, which means it's independent of your camera. And what that means is that allows you to use any app you want to record. If you want to use one of the ZY apps that comes from Zhiyun to do the camera control and get some of this, you can. But if, say, you like Filmic Pro, say you want to use your own app, you can use it, and this AI is going to work independently of it. And because it's powered from the gimbal itself, it's just going to always be powered. You never have to worry. Now, it does have a button on the back. If for some reason it is off, you can tap it once to cut it on, and you can long hold it to cut it off if you want to cut it off for some reason. And when you're done with it, you can literally just take it, pop it off, put it back in your bag, and you're good to go. Now, one thing to know about this AI tracker, it really is designed primarily to be used for people. There is a way to track objects that are non-human through one of the apps, and I'm going to talk about in a minute, but really this is designed as an AI human tracker. Now, the cool thing about this AI tracker is that it's controlled through hand signals. So it's kind of like sign language for AI. So for instance, OK sign starts the tracking. A V sign will start recording. A stop sign will stop recording. And if you kind of make a frame sign like this, you can actually reframe there in the AI system. And I found this to work really, really well. I mean, if I did an OK, it was going to start tracking me if I was in the shot. And I found the tracking feature on this to be really smooth and nice. And it's honestly just a fantastic feature to have because, I'll be honest, if I'm using my smartphone to record something, I don't want to think about it, man. I just want something that's simple and just completely works. I really found having this AI assistant, for lack of a better term, to help track the subjects that I'm doing, it just made my life so much easier and just made this such a valuable thing that, man, once you experience it, it's kind of hard not to have that little thing on there. Now, the Smooth 5S AI actually has 2 native apps that kind of you can use with it natively, and they each kind of do a little different things, so you kind of need to understand what they are because you're going to want to have access to the apps if you want to access everything this gimbal can actually do. Now, they do have a more advanced kind of camera app called the Staycam, and they have a second one called ZY Cami that's more of a prosumer one. Now, what I found kind of strange is that each app controls sometimes different settings in the camera. The Staycam is more of a professional video setup, so if you ever use something like Filmic Pro or any other video app on your phone, it's just going to instantly make sense. And what I like about this app, as you can see right here, is that it falls more in line with my sensibilities as a professional filmmaker and shooter. You can see right here I have full manual control. I can set my shutter speed, I can do ISO, I can set white balance, and I can set my frame buttons. And if you hook up the Bluetooth on the back, you can actually use these controls to access different parts of the operating system. So what I can do, if I hit up here, for instance, you will see now that I can access all of my 4K, 2K, 1080, and my frame rates and my options like that. So for instance, I can go up to 60 frames per second in 4K. What's awesome about this, if I switch over to 1080, you will see I can go up to 240 frames per second. But if I click over on like slow motion, I can actually go ahead and get it'll basically show instead of frame rates how much I can slow it down. And that'll convert it inside the app so you don't have to convert it later. It's kind of a nice thing. And there is a time-lapse option. Now, the second app that really lets you utilize a lot of what this thing can do is the ZY Cami app. Now, this is really more of a social media kind of run and gun type app that falls more into like that CapCut sensibility. So it's not as much about professional video control as it is about social media, getting stuff up fast and doing it. That being said, what's interesting about this app, it actually allows you different controls of this gimbal than you can get in the Steadicam app. And I'm gonna go ahead, if you hit this button here and basically go to the camera, you will see now that I have basic camera controls on here. And I can do certain things, like I can set some frame rates, but I can't set as many frame rates as I can in Steadicam. So I'm much more limited in my Steadicams, but it has one super useful feature. And that is, I can actually tap, and now I can use that as a tap to make my AI start tracking. That tap and track is very useful. And what that means is I can pick non-human subjects like products and other things like that, which I do use a lot for my gimbal and my iPhone, and I can track that, which is a huge thing. I really wish the Steadicam app had that, but it makes this ZY Cami app really useful if you want to have especially non-human tracking. Now, another cool thing about these apps that I think you should be aware of is the fact that because this gimbal does have a zoom and focus tool built into it, you can actually control that through your smartphone, which I thought was really cool. So you can see here it's defaulted to the zoom wheel. So if I sit there and pull my zoom, you'll see it's a pretty smooth zoom all the way in. I'm going to zoom right out and do that. But if I click the button here on the side, check this out. I click that button, and now it'll go ahead and start getting me selective focus, which is a really cool thing. And as you can see, it does come over. If I come to ZY Cami, it does work in ZY Cami as well. You do need to be aware, while you can use the zoom in ZY Cami, you cannot use the focus. If I hit the focus wheel here, nothing will happen. You know, it basically cuts the zoom on and off, but if I click it back again, then I can sit there and come in and zoom. So it is a cool little feature about the body here that you should be aware of. Now, anytime I do a review of any product, I do like to point out any areas that I think are room for improvement because, hey, if you're thinking about including something in this system, you need to know what you need to be concerned about or anything you should be aware of before purchasing that, if it makes any sense to you. Now, the main area that I saw room for improvement on this that I just found a little confusing was the app situation. The fact that there are two different apps that can control this, and each of the app can kind of do a little thing different. They don't both have the exact same functionality. I found that to be a little confusing when I started. So for instance, in the ZY Cami app, you can access the tap focus, which is something I consider a really professional needed thing, and it's not in the Steadicam app that I could find. Maybe it's there, but I could not find that tap focus that you can in the ZY Cami. And in the ZY Cami, you couldn't access some of the frame rates you can access in the Steadicam app. So having two different apps to kind of think about is one of those things that I did find a little confusing. It would be nice if it was all consolidated, or if they want to keep them separated because the ZY Cami has the social media things, just to letting you do everything in one app that you can in the other. So let you get tap focus in both and have the same frame rates in both would be something that I think would be an improvement that would really help this out. Something that I think could be done in a firmware update. I also think that one thing some people may want to be aware of is the placement of the phone. Now, to balance this, you have to push your phone all the way here to the side. And what that means is there's no room really here to charge your phone if you're in a situation that you have a phone that's running low on battery. Now, if you look at the top, there is a USB-C port here, which means you can charge your phone at the same time, but because you have to push it all the way to the side, if you have a traditional charger, you're not going to be able to charge it. So I think an easy way to get around that is to buy an L-mount charger for your phone. Just get a little L bracket, and that would allow you to put it in there pretty close. But it is something you need to be aware of. So all in all, guys, I thought this was just something that was really cool little app. I would absolutely recommend this. I think the AI tracking sensitivity, the ease of use, and just the nice footage you can get from it really make a really nice powerhouse little gimbal that if you need content for social media or things using a kind of a smartphone idea, this could be a great little tool to add to your arsenal. Anyway, guys, love to hear what you have to say with this. Let me know notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting. And yeah, talk to you soon.